Hello and welcome to Performance Check. My name is Rob and this is day 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14 of my 30-day world. Gone behind a little bit, been kind of busy, so this is me catching up. My 30-day world is in conjunction with the successfully backed Kickstarter, Dead Man's Guide to Dragongrin by Absolute Tabletop. If you want to know more, follow the comments below, or the thing below, underneath the video, in the thing, you know what I'm talking about. Just go and click on it. Seriously. Which faction in your world is feared and reviled? The most feared factions in my world are the ones that maintain control over the world. There are the Court of Whispers, there is the Magisterium, there is the Tribunal, and there is the Witch Hunters. All of these factions essentially are what the God King has built his seneschal society upon. The Witch Hunters, I would say, are the most feared and the most reviled simply because they are the most terrifying and powerful fighting force in the land. They hunt apostates and traitors and all manner of arcane and blessed criminals, shall we say. And they hunt them down and they kill them. That is why they're the most feared and the most reviled. They are the best at what they do, and what they do ain't pretty. The Witch Hunters have been quite well exposed in the campaign that I'm running at the moment, in the sense that they've shown up twice so far. One of the main characters of the campaign is a witch hunter, so they've had quite a lot of exposition, and it's been interesting having a character come from that faction and sort of want redemption from it, because they murder people, they hunt people down just because they're different, and they destroy them without mercy. And that would be something that would be difficult to get over if you'd been involved with that for a number of years and also, committed a number of those acts yourself. It would be pretty rough. Who opposes evil and injustice in your world? I'd like to say that it's kind of obvious that from, if you know my stuff and if you know my setting, that the answer to that is the Lawkeepers. But I've talked quite a lot about the Lawkeepers already. They are sort of what are the center from where my world expanded, essentially, which is something that I've never done before in terms of building a world. So instead of talking about the Lawkeepers, who definitely would be a force that opposes evil and injustice in the world, there is a significant portion of time where the Lawkeepers aren't really in existence. So in that case, who opposes evil when they're not around? Which is quite a lot of the time. So there is a faction known as the Marshals within my world. They've only really been hinted at throughout the campaign that I've run. Ezekiel Raylan, Tim Carney's character from Tabletop Terrors, his character Ezekiel Raylan was a marshal, and essentially the Marshals were a faction that essentially roamed the world as individuals, solving problems and basically being a marshal, being a sheriff, being wandering travelers that solve problems wherever they go. And they all are part of the Marshals. The Marshals, they marshal the land, as it were. And they definitely were a force of good. They would hunt down people that had done wrong. They would get paid for it wherever they could. They still had to survive. They still, needed to earn coin and the like. But invariably speaking, contracts that they would take would be to the betterment of the world. And I haven't really explored too much about the Marshals, and I think I would like to do a bit more, because I like the idea of these super proficient individuals that are particularly good with one weapon. For example, Ezekiel Raylan was an expert, like a master swordsman, that had fallen on hard times. They all had like a particular vocation that they would be the ones who would, be particularly incredible with this one art of combat or strategy or diplomacy, whatever. So the Marshals, they would fight injustice and oppose evil, but they obviously are on the decline now that shall we say, law has been taken into the hands of the tribunal, the ones that maintain general martial control over the Nine Kingdoms, the army, essentially. So that's the marshals, and they oppose evil and injustice in my world. What iconic monsters exist in your world? Loads. Loads and loads. The Mind Flayers are definitely in there. Dragons are definitely in there. Orcs are definitely in there. Goblins. Yeah, I reckon goblins are in there. Not come across them though. What else would be considered iconic? Beholders. That's a good question. Probably. Hydras are definitely in there. There's an awful lot, actually. I'd say that pretty much every kind of iconic monster that's in the monster manual is probably in the Nine Kingdoms. Because why not? Why deprive yourself of those opportunities? On a publishing standpoint, obviously you can't include some of them because they're copyrighted, like the Beholder. But I'm not at that stage, so I don't have to worry about it. You know, if I ever get to that stage, we'll see. Don't know. But if I do end up publishing anything about the Nine Kingdoms, then I'll have to come to that bridge later. Loads and loads. Loads and loads and loads of monsters. Who dominates the political spheres of your world? The God King and his tyrannical regime. That's a really quick question. How safe is it to travel in your world? Really not safe. Really not safe. Really not safe. Really not safe. Not particularly safe. And the final question for this edition of my 30-day world is, what mythical material is sought after in your world? I found this really tricky to answer. In bygone days of yore, which is kind of what my setting's all about, is it is a post-high magic setting. There used to be these mythical, wondrous materials and artifacts that would be made from them. Adamantine, star metal, cold iron. There would have been a plethora of wondrous materials in which to create things from. Now that my setting is moved on from that, and that is sort of like a lost time, those are obviously either highly sought after or completely gone from the world. So I found this question particularly difficult to answer because I want to answer it in the modern sense of my setting rather than in its history. Now, the only thing that I really thought of was the stone's blood oil that pours from a well or a vein. I don't know the right term for it if it's oil, but it comes from the mountains on which Freedom Salvation is built. That's how it became such a prosperous city, the capital city of Farwide, the last free realm of my setting. And there's a reason it got that way. It was because this oil, stone's blood oil, from the phrase drawing blood from a stone, it's super efficient, it burns brighter, it lasts longer, it is just a really good commodity to have, and a commodity that you can sell at an expensive price. It will, increase industry, and it's sort of like a new thing, because oil isn't really something that is used an awful lot throughout my setting. There isn't really oil lanterns, there's more torches and things like that. Like I should really do a bit of research into the introduction of oil and its use in industry, because maybe my setting's on the turn. Maybe that's the first footstep on the ladder of it changing in terms of technology. I don't know. It's interesting, but it's something that I haven't really given an awful lot of thought to. I put my mind to what's going to happen in the next session. Like, I need to make some more factions. I want to, think up the royal line of Farwide. I want to, like the oil industry isn't like my go-to kind of inspiration in this setting, but who knows? Maybe I'll stumble across the answer one day. So that's the last question from this edition of my 30-day world. Hope you enjoyed it. Take it easy, and hope that all of your performances are up to standard.